Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. It has been a while since I sat down and just spoken to the camera, and it kind of feels nice, like it feels really homey. I mean, it's September now, it has been a while, and so it's super grey outside today. Um, and so I thought I'd just film a video and really just get back into filming these kinds of videos because I've kind of missed being a little bit more creative. But it is cozy season. I'm very happy it's autumn now. I mean, I loved summer, but I'm just so ready for candles and baking and cross stitching and just watching Gilmore Girls. September 1st I was like, Gilmore Girls now please. If you haven't watched it, definitely would recommend. It's just very wholesome and warm and just, yeah, cozy vibes. I'm ready for a hot chocolate, so ready for a hot chocolate and a pumpkin spice latte. So yeah, come get cozy with me. Make sure you get like a hot drink if you want a hot drink. Get cozy, and like the title says, I will be telling you the half of the books that I've read in 2024. My goal for this year is to read 24 books in the year 2024. And so my previous video from last year where I read 23 books in 2023, that was quite a long video, I thought. So I wanted to break it up in half, and so it is September. I have read, I think, 20 or 21 books so far, which is pretty good. I love to give myself a little leeway near the end of the year if like I've got more festive things coming up or trips planned, so that I have enough time to read like proper big books, if that makes sense. Or even a play if I want to read that. But yeah, let's get started. Squish is just in the corner here. Got my trusty notebook. So I will tell you the first 12 books I've read this year since I started. Wow, January feels like so long ago. But I started off on a really good book and a really good high, and it's still my favourite book I think that I've read this year, maybe. I don't know, because it's very different to what I usually read, but also I want to read more stuff like it. That is Yellowface by Rebecca Kuang, and it is so good. And I basically had this app from the library, and it's borrowed books where you can have ebooks and also audiobooks as well. So I downloaded the ebook, and this is the first time I downloaded an ebook because I don't really like scrolling on my phone to read a book. I'd rather have like a Kindle or the actual book. But I was like, you know what, it looks really good, I'm gonna have to read it. And of course, being of Asian descent, like I'm Chinese, so I was like, Yellowface, right up my street. And it is just twists and turns left, right and centre, and I love it. You know what, I had no expectations when I started reading it, and throughout it I was just glued to the book. Like I said, twists and turns everywhere, and it just grabs your attention straight away. The way she writes, the way everything is described is just so snappy and quick, but also detailed, and so you just want to be reading it all day long. The next ones are in like a group or a series, and it was Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Before Your Memory Fades, and Before We Say Goodbye by Toshikazu Kuraguchi. I want to say that's how you say the name. I'm really sorry if I am butchering it. I listened to some of them on the audiobooks and then also read some of them because I had the book as well. And I love how it's little snippets of people's lives and little snippets of stories, if that makes sense. The whole concept of this is that there's a coffee shop in Japan, and you go downstairs and it's quite homely but also not your usual coffee shop, and there's one seat in the shop where you can go anywhere in time, and you basically have to do certain things and make sure you adhere to certain rules to then make it back before your coffee gets cold, and you have to drink your coffee before it gets cold as well to then return back to the present time. And it's just such a cool concept, I think, and that because it's a series, each book uh, develops all the characters and the little stories in between and little moments, and I think it's just so beautifully written, and the stories are just, yeah, so beautiful and heartwarming as well. I'd never read anything like that before, and it's also translated, I believe, and so it was really, really nice to hear it. And I think the person on the audiobook was also really, really good at reading it, and the narrative of it was so smooth and just so easy to listen to. Okay, the next one is Sophie Kinsella's Burnout. Now, I think this is just something that is right up my street because I love like a rom-com situation, and within like the first few chapters I was hooked already. I was like, what's gonna happen? What is gonna happen? And I'm excited to just go along with the story. And it's funny and witty and also cute, and yeah, really, really lovely to read. And it is quite a thick book, but I think the description of it is, yeah, so easy to read. I think you can't really miss when you read Sophie Kinsella anyway. So. The next thing that I listened to was Love Letters of Great Men by John Kirkland, and this was something that reminded me of like English literature at A level, where it was a set or an amalgamation of love letters that great men had written throughout time, and it made me just think how beautiful people used to write, and love letters were such a big thing, and it wouldn't be frowned upon to write a love letter to declare your love to someone. And it was just really, really sweet to hear those messages of love to their loved ones, which was really, really sweet. And it was from people like Napoleon to Charlie Chaplin, like different people throughout history. And some of them I think were a bit like, wow, that is a little bit cringe. But at the time, like if I was reading that and like receiving it, I think it would be like, wow, he loves me. It would have been like monumental and something like to keep forever, which was really, really sweet to listen to. And because it was audiobook as well, it would be different actors reading the letters, which really brought it to life. So if you're looking for something like really smushy and sweet, then definitely read them, or listen to them. But also if you want to dissect how they wrote the letters, then also that's quite interesting to listen and read as well. Now the next thing I absolutely loved. It's Becoming by Michelle Obama, and I listened to her read it to me. It's just so fascinating to see how one gets to a certain position or place in life, and how their childhood and upbringing and education and work has brought them to what you see them as now, if that makes sense. Especially like when you see a celebrity or famous person in the limelight for certain things, and you're like, whoa, how did they get there? And like, how are they qualified? Like, what do they do? It's really cool to see that trajectory, and also really hear it from her, because it's first person narrative and also she wrote it. And then following after that, I read The Woman in Me by Britney Spears, and wow, it was really cool. I say I read it, I heard it on audiobook, and it was Michelle Williams reading it, but there was also a snippet of Britney Spears at the beginning. And Michelle Williams is such a good actor and also voice actor, and the way that she read Britney Spears' book was incredible. And it's so heartbreaking and sad to hear about certain things that happened to her, Britney Spears, but also amazing that she's gotten to the stage where she can write about it and share it with the world. I think it is a pretty emotional and deep book to either read or listen to, um, but definitely something that everybody should, because it's coming from her perspective, something that we have not seen or heard before really in much depth or detail, and it's really giving her the voice. I think throughout this you can kind of tell that I have flitted from different genres and ways of writing and also listening and reading throughout the year, just because I love to mix things up a bit. I do have to say that this year has been a lot of um, rom-com fiction as well. Majority of like the middle part of the year, I think. So after Britney Spears, I read Just Got Real by Jane Fallon, and it is kind of like a rom-com but also not at the same time. And it's to do with like dating apps and just dating, especially as an older woman. And I thought it was quite fascinating to hear from that perspective, just because a lot of the time, especially because of my age and the people I hang around with as well, like we are of a certain age, of course, and so we don't really hear about older women trying to date, or after marriage and divorce trying to date. And so it was really eye-opening and also quite nice to see that perspective in this book. It's kind of like a maturity level, but also because a lot of people, or some people, have never been on a dating app before, it was quite interesting to see how they navigated that as well. Okay, the next one is The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary. Now, this really shifted everything, because this was a lot more saccharine and sweet and rom-com-esque, especially compared to everything else I had read at the start of the year. And I definitely say it is really, really cute, really sweet. Sometimes you just need that in your life, you know, when you just kind of disassociate from everything and then you just gravitate towards someone else's love story. And I think at the time I thought some of it was a bit cringy, some of it was sweet, and also some of it was kind of predictable. But from a rom-com kind of book, you kind of do expect that anyway. So it ticked off all the rom-com checklists that I had. Okay, the next book is Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. This one I thought was magical. It was so cool, and it's kind of like two people who you wouldn't think would suit on paper and who are very different and from different worlds with different backgrounds, educationally, and also like familial relationships as well. I thought it was such a wonderful book to read, because it was like, will they get together? Will they not get together? Are they better off as friends? Like, how is that relationship building, and what is it building into? Will they make it work? Won't they make it work? And it was also quite a brainy sort of book at the same time, with like quantum physics involved. And so part of me had to digest some of that, but then also if one character was into one thing, then the other character would be kind of discovering that as they discover that person as well. And so that was really lovely to read about and to see, because sometimes you don't get that depth or detail when you read a book or watch a film. And it was so nice to see that change and develop, and them learning about each other whilst you also learn about the two of them as well. Definitely would recommend. It was so, at times it was kind of sad and heartbreaking and also relatable, and so I would definitely recommend this book. Okay, number 12, And the final book in this video, because I've been rambling for so long. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And this one I thought was something completely different to what I've ever read before, and also a topic that I never really read about before. And I noticed people reading this on the tube, and I was like, what is that they're reading? I was like, do I want to read it? And then I saw it in the bookshops as well, and then I also saw it on audiobook. So then I thought, I will download it and listen to it. And it was a pretty thick book, I want to say, and really detailed and in depth, and it follows the course of a business, and there are so many ups and downs, especially with starting up a business, but also starting up building a video game, and all the relationships and things in between. It was a lot of information, I think, especially because I don't really play any video games. I suck at them, and I had no idea about video game design, and so it was so interesting to learn about and read about through this book. The author must have done so much research to be able to build this world, and it was just incredible to follow these people's lives throughout relationships, throughout the design of the games and the whole business trajectory, the ups and downs. It was so gripping, but also touching and heartwarming and sad, just all the emotions really, and you're really rooting for these characters for sure. And I think I would definitely recommend reading that one as well. And that is it for part 1 of all the books I've read this year. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you do have any book recommendations, please leave them in the comment section down below. And also let me know what other videos you want to see from me. I know that some people have asked for me rating different products as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And also, yes, comment down below what other books you want me to read, and or recommendations, please. I would love that. Thank you so much for just being here and reaching the end of the video. I will see you next time. Bye!